Warren Newport Public Library. Welcome to Kids in the Kitchen. Today we're going to make double chocolate chunk cookies. These are a cookie I've made for many years, and you're going to get to make them today and enjoy them too. Alright, before we get started, however, we need to do a few things. Make sure your hands are washed, your work surfaces are clean, and if you have long hair, pull it back. Alright, let's get started. Some of the ingredients for these cookies includes flour, cocoa, salt, baking soda, chocolate chips, and these are milk chocolate chips, vanilla, sugar, eggs, and butter. Now the chocolate chips, we're going to use 4 ounces that we're going to melt with the butter, and 4 ounces we're going to put in at the end. So the first thing we're going to do is mix all our dry ingredients together. So that includes the flour, the cocoa, the salt, and the baking soda. And I like to mix things with a whisk. Now know that you can always go on our website and find this recipe. So if you want to make it a second time or you don't remember, you can always go there. Alright, looks good. And I'm using a tool that you've heard me say I really like. It's a whisk. That and my spatulas I use all the time. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to melt the butter with 4 ounces of chocolate chips. So I'll see you over at the stove. Alrighty, we're over at the stove, and I've brought just a little bit of water to a boil. I've turned it down to simmer, and this is a pan that's going to fit inside this one, and this is called a double boiler. You could also use a glass bowl that you would sit in there. You just want a very low simmer. Now we're going to melt together the stick of butter and 4 ounces of chocolate chips. 4 ounces would be half a cup. Maybe a few more. We're going to dump those in, and we're going to melt those together, and then to that we're going to add our eggs and our sugar in the mixing bowl. So just let this go. This will happen really fast. If you can see, it's just melting. It's almost done already. So I'll finish melting this, and then I'll see you over at the table by the mixer. I put our melted chocolate and butter into my bowl. So now I'm going to add the sugar and the eggs. So I'm going to turn it on low and just start adding. Okay, all my sugar's in. It's 1.5 cups of sugar. Now make sure you have your oven being preheated to 325 degrees. We're going to bake these for 13 to 15 minutes. Now I'm going to add my 2 eggs. And I tend to use my eggs at room temperature. So if you don't have time to just let them sit out, sometimes I just put them in a little bit of warm water for 5 minutes, and that works too. It's mixing up very well. Okay, I'm going to stop it for a minute, and I'm going to scrape it. I want to make sure everything is incorporated, everything is mixed in, and nothing gets stuck on the side. And then I'm going to add my dry ingredients, which is the flour and the cocoa and the salt and the baking soda. So this looks good. So now I'm going to slowly start adding the dry ingredients. You are going to love these cookies. If you like chocolate. Now the chocolate chips that I used today were Gianardelli's, because I think it's a little bit better chocolate. Last bit. And then we're going to mix in our other 4 ounces of chocolate chips. Remember, we started out with 8 ounces, which is 1 cup, and 1/2 cup went in with the butter, and 1/2 cup is going to go into the batter, the dough. Don't forget to add your vanilla. I'm going to do by hand. Just going to scrape these off just a little bit. Now this is the 4 ounces of chocolate chips. Just a couple of quick stirs and that's done. You could also use chocolate. They're called chocolate chunk cookies. You could also use like big pieces of chocolate that you've crushed up if you wanted to. I just chose to use chocolate chips. All right. And you're going to use a parchment lined baking sheet. Looks good. So now we're going to put it on our baking sheet. Remember I said you're going to bake these for 13 to 15 minutes? And you're going to wait for them to get flat and kind of cracked. And I like to use a cookie scoop because that makes everything the same size. When you bring them out of the oven, you're going to lift the whole parchment paper off the cookie sheet and set it on a cooling rack and let it cool for like 5 minutes on your parchment paper before you remove them. They will come out looking soft, but they will get hard as they cool. Okay, I'll see you once these are baked. Okay, our cookies have cooled on the parchment paper for 5 minutes, so they've like sort of hardened up. Put them on a plate. And these will make about 3 dozen cookies. So let's break one apart. Just like a chocolate brownie cookie. I hope you enjoyed making your treat today. And I hope you'll share it with someone. Have the best day. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.